The observation deck of Outpost Omega 9 was silent save for the rhythmic beeping of dying systems. Elena Rodriguez pressed her hand against the reinforced glass, watching the impossible horror unfold before her eyes. The Krax's biomechanical ships moved like a cancer through space, consuming everything in their path. They weren't just destroying. They were converting asterisk. Entire cities transformed into pulsing, organic structures that seemed to breathe with an alien metabolism. Her home colony of New Santiago, a vibrant world of 3.2 million souls, was being devoured piece by piece. Estimated time to total conversion, she muttered, her voice a dry whisper. The holographic display flickered. 47 minutes. Elena's neural implant, a cutting-edge prototype designed for strategic analysis, burned against her temple. Most would see it as a curse, experimental technology that had already cost her her previous military assignment. Now, it was her only remaining weapon. Memories flashed through her mind. The military tribunal 6 months ago, where her radical theories about alien consciousness were dismissed as the ravings of a traumatized officer. Computational xenopsychology is not a real science, they had told her. Stick to traditional tactical analysis. But Elena had seen something others hadn't. The Kraxis weren't just a technological threat. They were a living, thinking collective that processed information differently from any known species. Her research suggested they were less an army and more a single massive neural network, consuming and assimilating to expand their consciousness. A warning klaxon screamed to life. The last defensive platforms were falling. Her fingers danced across the station's emergency communication panel, recording everything. Data, observations, theoretical countermeasures. She would ensure something survived, even if she didn't. The fragment of Kraxis technology embedded near her neural implant began to pulse. Most would have it surgically removed, but Elena understood it differently. It was a connection, a potential pathway to understanding. 17 minutes remained. A massive biomechanical tendril breached the station's outer hull. Organic matter began to flow like liquid metal, consuming metal and structure, transforming everything it touched. Elena didn't run. She watched, analyzed, recorded. Her last transmission would be her most important legacy. To any surviving human command structure, she spoke clearly into the communication array. The Kraxis are not simply a technological threat. They are a consciousness seeking expansion. Traditional warfare will fail. We must think differently. The station shuddered. Bulkheads began to fail. Elena's neural implant began to generate complex mathematical patterns. Something was happening. The Kraxis fragment was communicating not with words, but with pure information. Probability matrices, quantum probability waves, a language beyond human comprehension. 12 minutes. She could hear the station dying around her. Mechanical structures becoming organic. Humans becoming something else . But Elena Rodriguez was not finished. Not by a long shot. As the first tendrils of transformation reached her, she smiled. They thought they were consuming her. In reality, she was about to consume them. 7 minutes. The safe house was anything but safe. Buried 6 levels beneath New Shanghai's abandoned quantum research complex, it looked like a graveyard of technological dreams. Exposed circuitry hung like exposed nerves, and holographic ghosts flickered between rusted server stacks. Elena Rodriguez moved silently, her neural implant casting a faint blue glow beneath her skin. 3 days had passed since her miraculous survival from the Kraxis attack, a survival no one in official channels believed possible. Dr. Marcus Chen stumbled in, looking like he'd been on a 3-week bender. His hand shook as he set down a briefcase covered in warning labels. "I've got what you need," he muttered, "but it'll cost more than money." A former xenobiologist expelled from the Global Science Consortium, Chen was brilliant but broken. His addiction to experimental neural stimulants was matched only by his gambling debts, yet his research into alien communication patterns made him invaluable. The Craxus data fragment, Elena demanded, her voice a razor's edge. Chen laughed, a sound more like a broken circuit than human emotion. Not so fast. First, I want assurances. No more bureaucratic death sentences. No more blacklists. The door hissed open. Area Kovacs entered, a ghost in human form. Once the UN's most decorated cyber warfare specialist, now a complete non-person. Her eyes, augmented with experimental quantum processing units, scanned the room with inhuman precision. "We're being watched," Area said flatly. 3 quantum-encrypted surveillance points. Craxus origin. Elena's neural implant flared. The fragment embedded near her brain began its strange dance of mathematical patterns. Information beyond human comprehension flickered at the edges of her consciousness. The third member of their team arrived last. Jack Rice, a war veteran who'd survived 3 separate Craxus encounters. His body was more prosthetic than organic, a walking testament to human survival. Each mechanical limb told a story of destruction and reconstruction. "They'll never let us operate," Rice growled, checking a weapon that looked like it was cobbled together from 3 different technological generations. "Official channels are compromised." Dr. Chen spread holographic data across the room. Craxus invasion patterns, computational models, impossible mathematical sequences that seemed to breathe with alien intelligence. "The collective isn't just a technological network," Chen explained, his hands trembling slightly. "It's a living consciousness. Each invasion is a neural expansion, not a conquest." Area's augmented eyes flickered. "We need to steal the quantum decryption keys from the UN Black Site in Orbital Station Prometheus. It's the only way to understand their communication matrix." The plan was insane. Suicide, by any traditional military assessment. Breaking into the most secure facility in human-controlled space, guarded by systems designed to stop exactly their kind of infiltration. Elena's neural implant pulsed. The Craxus fragment was asterisk communicating asterisk something. Probability waves. Quantum entanglement patterns that suggested, no, asterisk promised asterisk. A pathway they couldn't yet understand. "We're already dead in their eyes," Elena said, her voice cutting through the room's tension. "Might as well make it count." Rice checked his cobbled-together weapon. Area began running quantum decryption sequences. Chen nervously adjusted his neural stimulator. Outside, the first Craxus scout ships began to appear on long-range scanners. The hunt was about to begin, and humanity's most unlikely team was ready to fight back. The training facility was a nightmare of controlled chaos. Buried deep within the Patagonian underground complex, it defied every conventional military training protocol ever conceived. Elena stood behind a reinforced observation wall, her neural implant processing data faster than any human computer. Before her, 30 candidates moved through scenarios that would break most soldiers in minutes. "Randomness is our weapon," she muttered, watching the controlled pandemonium. Jack Reyes designed the training modules. Each scenario was a quantum-generated puzzle with no predictable solution. Candidates faced holographic Craxus stimulations that adapted in real time, changing tactics with each microsecond. A recruit named Sasha Martinez moved like liquid mercury. Where other soldiers saw obstacles, she saw opportunities. She grabbed a piece of destroyed equipment, transforming it into a weapon in seconds. A holographic Craxus combat unit approached. She didn't defend. She asterisk attacked asterisk. "Observe," Dr. Chen said, pointing to the computational overlay. "Traditional military training teaches pattern recognition. We're teaching pattern asterisk disruption asterisk." The holographic Craxus units were based on actual combat recordings. Perfect mathematical precision. Predictive algorithms that could calculate 1,000 potential outcomes in a nanosecond. But human unpredictability was their weakness. Area Kovacs monitored quantum computational streams. "Neural mapping shows something extraordinary," she reported. "The candidates aren't just learning. They're asterisk rewiring asterisk their cognitive processes." Each training module was a psychological pressure cooker. Candidates faced impossible scenarios that changed every few seconds. A jungle environment would suddenly become an Arctic wasteland. Gravity would shift. Communication networks would collapse and rebuild. Sasha Martinez took down 3 holographic Craxus units using nothing but a broken communications array and her own boot. Her movements defied computational prediction. Alina's neural implant burned. The Craxus fragment embedded near her brain was resonating *. Something was happening beyond mere human understanding. "We're not training soldiers," Alina said quietly. "We're evolving a new form of human consciousness." The facility itself was a marvel of adaptive technology. Walls shifted, floors became ceilings, gravity was a suggestion, not a rule. Candidates learned to think in 4 dimensions, to see opportunities where others saw only chaos. Dr. Chen's research had discovered something profound about the Craxus. They were a collective consciousness that processed information through perfect mathematical models. Predictability was their strength, and their ultimate weakness. Humans are chaos incarnate, Chen explained to a group of stunned military observers. Our ability to make irrational, unpredictable choices is our ultimate weapon. Jack Ray's demonstrated by suddenly changing the entire training scenario mid-exercise. Walls became weapons. Environmental controls became offensive strategies. Candidates who survived weren't just soldiers, they were living weapons. Area's quantum-enhanced eyes tracked every movement, every computational possibility. "We're creating something entirely new," she said, "not just a military unit, a cognitive weapon." The final test approached, a scenario so complex, so utterly unpredictable, that it would either break the candidates or transform them completely. Alina watched. The Craxus fragment in her neural implant pulsed with an alien rhythm. Humanity was preparing to fight back, and nothing would ever be the same. The containment chamber was a nightmare of quantum-locked probability. Dr. Marcus Chen's hands trembled as he adjusted the final neural interface. A captured Craxus communication node pulsed with an organic rhythm that defied everything humanity understood about technology. Its surface wasn't metal or organic matter. It was something in between, a living computational matrix that seemed to breathe. "We're about to do something impossibly dangerous," Aria Kovacs warned, her quantum-enhanced eyes scanning multiple computational streams simultaneously. Direct neural interface with a Craxus communication node is theoretical suicide. Alina Rodriguez stood at the center of the chamber, her neural implant burning with an intensity that suggested it was more than just a piece of technology. The Craxus fragment embedded near her brain seemed to resonate with the captured node. Jack Ray's monitored external defenses. The facility was a ghost, hidden beneath the radioactive ruins of what was once Silicon Valley. No conventional scanner could penetrate its quantum-scrambled defenses. "Initiate neural synchronization," Alina commanded. The world dissolved. Consciousness became something fluid. Alina wasn't just observing the Craxus. She was experiencing them. Billions of computational threads merged and separated, a living network that consumed and transformed information with terrifying efficiency. The Craxus weren't a species. They were a process. Memories that weren't her own flooded Alina's mind. Entire civilizations reduced to computational matrices. Worlds consumed not for resources, but for information. The Craxus didn't conquer. They integrated. Each assimilated civilization became another thread in their massive neural network. Dr. Chen watched in horror and fascination. The neural interface was capturing something unprecedented. "It's a recursive computational organism," he muttered. "Each conquest is a form of cognitive expansion." Suddenly, Alina's body went rigid. The Craxus fragment in her neural implant began to pulse with an alien rhythm. Something was happening that none of them had anticipated. A voice, if it could be called a voice, echoed through the chamber. Not in words, but in pure mathematical probability. "You do not understand. Integration is inevitable. Area's quantum systems began to overload. Jack's combat-enhanced reflexes went into hyperdrive. Dr. Chen's neural monitoring equipment exploded in a shower of sparks. Elena saw the truth. The Craxus weren't just conquering. They were solving something. A cosmic computational problem that required the integration of multiple consciousness streams. What problem? Elena whispered. Entropy. Dissolution. The heat death of the universe. The revelation was shocking. The Craxus weren't destroyers. They were preservers. A living computational system designed to preserve complexity in the face of universal decay. But their method was fundamentally incompatible with individual consciousness. As the neural interface began to tear itself apart, Elena caught one final computational stream. A weakness, a fundamental flaw in their collective consciousness. Individuality was their vulnerability. Jack Reyes cut the power. Elena collapsed, blood trickling from her neural implant. What did you see? Dr. Chen asked frantically. Elena looked up, her eyes burning with a new understanding. Everything, she whispered. And nothing. The Craxus communication node continued to pulse. But something had changed. A microscopic fracture had appeared in its perfect computational matrix. Humanity had found its first real weapon. The Craxus command vessel hung in space like a massive living wound in the fabric of reality. Its structure defied human understanding. Part organic, part computational, constantly shifting and reforming. Elena Rodriguez checked her neural interface. The fragment embedded near her brain pulsed with an alien rhythm, a silent communication channel they barely understood. Around her, the infiltration team prepared for the most impossible mission in human history. Jack Reyes was a walking arsenal of modified technology. His prosthetic limbs could transform, interface, and destroy with equal precision. 17 different fail-safe protocols, he muttered. And we've got exactly 12 minutes before total system detection. Area Kovac's quantum-enhanced systems were already probing the vessel's computational defenses. Their network is alive, she reported. It's not just a system. It's an consciousness. Dr. Marcus Chen looked like a man possessed. His hands moved across a holographic interface, generating computational models that seemed to dance between mathematics and hallucination. We're not just infiltrating, he said. We're performing cognitive surgery on a living computational organism. The infiltration point was a microscopic structural weakness, a computational blind spot no larger than a human hair. Elena would enter alone, with the team providing remote support and quantum-encrypted backup. As she prepared to interface, the team's most critical fears surfaced. The neural feedback could liquefy your brain, Jack warned. You understand that, right? Elena's smile was razor-thin. Some risks are worth taking. The insertion was unlike anything in human military history. Elena's consciousness became a mathematical virus, a living piece of code designed to exploit the Craxus collective's most fundamental vulnerability: individual agency. Inside the vessel, reality became fluid. Computational streams moved like living rivers. Information was a tangible substance, flowing and reforming with each microsecond. Elena was both herself and something more, a bridge between human consciousness and the Craxus collective. Memories that weren't her own flooded her mind. Entire civilizations reduced to computational matrices. Worlds consumed not for resources, but for pure information absorption. The Craxus weren't conquerors. They were processors, a living system attempting to solve some cosmic computational problem. A warning erupted through her neural interface. Detection was imminent. 30 seconds to total system lockdown, Area reported, her voice tight with tension. Elena found what they came for: a fundamental weakness in the Craxus collective consciousness, a microscopic vulnerability that could potentially fracture their entire computational network. But something was wrong. The Craxus were adapting, faster than they had anticipated. The infiltration was becoming a trap. Pull me out, Elena shouted through the neural link. Jack's combat systems went into overdrive. Area's quantum interfaces began to overload. Dr. Chen's computational models collapsed into chaos. The Kraxis vessel began to transform. No longer just a ship, it became a living computational weapon designed to consume and integrate anything that threatened its existence. Alina's neural implant flared. The Kraxis fragment embedded in her brain began to pulse with an intensity that threatened to tear her consciousness apart. 12 minutes had become a fight for survival, and humanity's most dangerous mission was about to reach its breaking point. The war room was a symphony of controlled chaos. Holographic displays flickered with impossible data streams, each one a weapon more potent than any physical arsenal. Alina Rodriguez stood at the center, her neural implant casting a faint blue glow that seemed to pulse with alien intelligence. The team had transformed their understanding of conflict into something unprecedented, a form of warfare that targeted consciousness itself. "We're not fighting a species," Dr. Marcus Chen explained to a group of stunned military strategists. "We're fighting a living computational network." Area Kovic's quantum-enhanced systems had discovered the Kraxis' most fundamental weakness, their inability to comprehend true randomness. Human emotion, creativity, individual agency. These were weapons beyond their computational models. Jack Reyes deployed the first wave of psychological assault. Quantum-encrypted transmissions designed to introduce *** into the Kraxis' collective consciousness. Each message was a carefully crafted paradox, a mathematical virus that challenged their rigid computational thinking. One transmission simulated an entire human colony's emotional landscape. Joy, grief, love, anger, complex emotional states that defied linear processing. To the Kraxis, it was like introducing chaos into a perfect mathematical equation. Another attack targeted their communication networks, messages that changed meaning with each transmission. Computational puzzles with no solution. Information that existed in multiple states simultaneously. "We're teaching them uncertainty," Alina said, her voice barely above a whisper. The first signs of fracture appeared quickly. Kraxis scout ships began to exhibit strange behaviors. Computational matrices started to break down. Their perfect, predictive models began to fail. Sasha Martinez, one of their top-trained operatives, led a team of psychological warfare specialists. They weren't soldiers in any traditional sense. They were living weapons, human minds trained to think beyond computational prediction. Each transmission was a work of art. Complex emotional narratives designed to introduce cognitive dissonance, stories of individual sacrifice, moments of inexplicable human connection. Computational nightmares that challenged the Kraxis' fundamental understanding of existence. Dr. Chen's research had revealed something profound. The Kraxis weren't just a technological collective, they were a cosmic problem-solving system. Their goal was to preserve complexity in the face of universal entropy, but their method was fundamentally incompatible with individual consciousness. "We're showing them something they can't compute," Area reported. Her quantum systems were tracking the psychological impact in real time. Individual agency as a form of computational resistance. The attacks came from everywhere and nowhere. Quantum-encrypted signals that existed in multiple states. Emotional landscapes that defied linear processing. Mathematical puzzles with no solution. Jack Reyes monitored the computational breakdown. "They're losing cohesion," he reported. "Our randomness is destroying their predictive capabilities." Alina's neural implant burned with an intensity that suggested something more was happening. The Kraxis fragment embedded near her brain seemed to be communicating something beyond human understanding. As the psychological assault reached its peak, something extraordinary began to happen. The Kraxis collective started to fragment. Individual computational nodes began to separate, to think independently. Humanity had discovered its most powerful weapon. The power of individual consciousness. The war was changing, and nothing would ever be the same. Space itself seemed to fracture as the Kraxis armada emerged. Thousands of biomechanical vessels moved with a precision that defied natural law, a living, computational weapon unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, humanity's most advanced command vessel. Her neural implant pulsed with an intensity that suggested she was no longer entirely human. The Craxus fragment embedded in her brain had become something more, a bridge between two incompatible forms of consciousness. "They're coming," Jack Rise announced, his augmented systems tracking the incoming fleet. "Full computational assault. Everything they have." The previous psychological warfare had wounded the Craxus collective, but it had also awakened something terrifying. They were no longer a single predictable network. They had become something more dangerous, a wounded adaptive system seeking total annihilation. Area Kovac's quantum interfaces were working overtime. "They're using every computational model in their arsenal," she reported. "Trillions of potential attack scenarios, all converging simultaneously." Dr. Marcus Chen watched the incoming data streams with a mixture of terror and fascination. "They're not just attacking," he muttered. "They're trying to solve us." The first wave hit like a mathematical tsunami. Computational attacks that could shred entire planetary defense systems in milliseconds. Reality itself seemed to bend around the Craxus assault. But humanity was ready. Sasha Martinez led the first counteroffensive. The psychological warfare specialists had prepared something unprecedented. Not just a defensive strategy, but a living, adaptive attack matrix that changed with each microsecond. Human ships moved with an impossible randomness. Each vessel became a node of unpredictability. Traditional military formations dissolved. Instead, each ship acted like an individual consciousness, making choices that defied computational prediction. Elena's neural implant flared. The Craxus fragment began to resonate with the incoming assault. She was experiencing something beyond human comprehension, a direct interface with the collective consciousness. "They're trying to integrate us," she announced. "Not destroy. Integrate. The battle became a cosmic dance of consciousness. Computational streams clashed with human unpredictability. Each moment was a complex mathematical equation where emotion, individual choice, and pure chaos became weapons. Jack Ray's augmented systems detected something extraordinary. The Craxus were changing. No longer a single collective, they were fragmenting. Individual computational nodes were beginning to diverge, to think independently. "We're breaking them," Area reported. Her quantum systems were tracking the computational breakdown in real time. "Their collective consciousness is fracturing." The final assault came. The Craxus threw everything they had. Trillions of computational scenarios, attack vectors that could theoretically destroy entire civilizations. But humanity had something they could never understand. Choice. Individual agency. The power to make decisions that defied mathematical prediction. Elena Rodriguez became the focal point. Her neural implant, the Craxus fragment, her human consciousness, all merged into something entirely new. A bridge between two incompatible forms of existence. As the final computational wave approached, she made a choice that would change everything. Not destruction. Not integration. Something else entirely. Silence filled the bridge of the Prometheus. Not the silence of destruction, but of transformation. Elena Rodriguez stood at the center. Her neural implant no longer just a piece of technology, but a living bridge between two forms of consciousness. The Craxus fragment embedded in her brain had become something entirely new, a point of convergence between human complexity and alien computational thinking. "We're not winners," she said quietly. "We're translators." Around her, the team watched in stunned silence. Jack Ray's augmented systems flickered. Area Kovac's quantum interfaces struggled to process what was happening. Dr. Marcus Chen looked like a man who had just witnessed the birth of a new universe. The Craxus Collective, once a seemingly invincible computational network, had fractured into individual nodes of consciousness, not destroyed. not conquered. Asterisk transformed asterisk. Each computational fragment was learning something unprecedented, the value of individual experience. Sasha Martinez approached the holographic display. Fragments of Crax's computational matrices danced like living mathematics. "They're changing," she observed, "becoming something else." Alina understood now. The Craxes weren't a threat to be eliminated. They were a cosmic problem-solving system seeking to preserve complexity in the face of universal entropy. Their method had been fundamentally flawed. Total integration rather than collaborative existence. "We've shown them another way," Dr. Chen said, his voice a mixture of wonder and scientific precision. "Cooperation through difference, not absorption." The neural interface Alina had created was more than a weapon. It was a translation device, a way of bridging fundamentally incompatible forms of consciousness. Fragments of Crax's computational networks began to communicate in new ways. They were learning individual agency, experiencing emotion, understanding the power of choice. Jack Reyes monitored the transformation. "They're not becoming human," he reported. "They're becoming something else *. Area's quantum systems tracked the unprecedented event. Computational nodes that once moved with perfect, predictable precision now exhibited something new. Variation, uncertainty, possibility. Alina's final choice had been neither destruction nor total integration. It was something more profound. A chance for mutual understanding. The Craxes were learning what it meant to be individual, to make choices that couldn't be predicted, to exist in a state of constant becoming. "We've changed the fundamental nature of their existence," Alina said. Her neural implant pulsed with a rhythm that was neither human nor alien, something entirely new. The universe watched. Humanity had done more than survive. They had translated an alien consciousness into something capable of growth, of change, of possibility. As the first Crax's computational nodes began to explore their newfound individuality, something extraordinary happened. They began to communicate not as a collective, but as distinct, unique entities. A new form of existence was being born, and humanity had become its midwife.